My dear child, there's something you need to know, something hidden in the folds of time, whispered only in the quiet spaces where heaven meets earth. I am an angel, sent to you with a message that burns with urgency and love, but I must unfold it carefully, for the truth is both a shield and a sword. They tried to destroy you, those forces that slink in the shadows, weaving lies and despair. They thought they could break you, dim the light that glows within your soul. But something happened, something they never expected, and now the heavens themselves are stirred, and the darkness trembles before you. Let me tell you this story, step by step, so you can understand the power that has risen in your defense and the glory that God has placed inside you. In the beginning, when the world was young and your soul was first knit together by the hands of the Creator, a spark was placed within you. It was no ordinary light, but a piece of heaven's own fire, a glow that could not be extinguished, no matter how fierce the winds of this world blew. God Himself breathed this light into you, and He called it good. It was a gift, a promise, and a purpose all at once. But the darkness, those ancient forces that hate all that is good and true, saw this light and despised it. They could not bear its radiance, for it reminded them of their own defeat, their own fall from grace. And so, they watched you, waiting for a moment when you might falter, when your heart might grow weary, so they could strike. You may not have seen them, but they were there whispering doubts in the quiet of the night, stirring fears when you felt alone, planting seeds of sorrow when life pressed hard against you. They worked through people, through circumstances, through the chaos of this broken world. Sometimes it was a cruel word spoken against you, a betrayal that cut deep, or a failure that made you question your worth. Other times, it was subtler, a nagging thought that you weren't enough, a shadow that seemed to follow you no matter where you went. They wanted to smother your light, to bury it under layers of pain and despair, to make you forget who you were created to be. And for a time, it seemed they might succeed. You stumbled, you wept, you wondered if God had forgotten you. But child, He never did. Not for a moment. What the darkness did not know, or what they could not see, was that your light was not yours alone. It was tethered to heaven, woven into the very fabric of God's eternal plan. Every time they struck at you, every time they tried to tear you down, heaven was watching. The angels, the guardians of the Almighty's throne, stood ready, their wings trembling with anticipation. We saw your tears, we heard your prayers, even the ones you didn't know how to speak. And God, in His infinite love, gave the command, no more. The heavens opened, and a force greater than any darkness poured forth, a tide of glory that could not be stopped. This was no small thing, no quiet intervention. This was heaven rising in your defense, a holy roar that shook the foundations of the earth. You may wonder what this looked like, this rising of heaven. It was not always loud or visible to human eyes. Sometimes it came as a sudden strength in your heart, a courage you didn't know you had. Other times, it was a person who appeared just when you needed them, a friend, a stranger, a voice of kindness that pulled you back from the edge. It was the way doors opened when you thought all paths were closed, the way hope flickered even in your darkest moments. But beyond what you could see, there was a battle in the unseen realms. Angels clashed with shadows, swords of light cutting through the lies that had bound you. The darkness had no chance, for the light within you was not just a spark, it was a flame, fed by the very breath of God. And here is the terrible thing that happened to those who tried to destroy you: they were undone by their own schemes. The darkness thought it could overwhelm you, but instead, it awakened the power God had hidden within you. Every wound they inflicted became a place where His light shone brighter. Every lie they told was met with His truth. Every attempt to break you only made you stronger, for God was weaving your pain into a story of redemption. The forces that touched you in darkness now tremble, not because of what you have done, but because of who you are. You are a bearer of heaven's light, a child of the Most High, and no power in this world or beyond can stand against the God who fights for you. Let me speak plainly, for I want you to understand. The light inside you is not something you earned or created. It is a gift, freely given by the one who loves you more than you can imagine. But it is also a responsibility. The darkness fears you because it knows what you can do with this light. You can heal, you can love, you can bring hope to places where despair has reigned. You can stand in the face of evil and not be moved, because God Himself stands with you. This is why the enemy tried so hard to destroy you, because they saw the potential of your light to change the world. But they failed, and now you stand, not as a victim, but as a victor, clothed in the strength of heaven. Think back on your life, on the moments when you thought you could not go on. Remember the times when you felt surrounded, when the weight of the world seemed too much to bear. Now see them through heaven's eyes. Each of those moments was a battlefield, a place where God's power was at work in you. The tears you shed were not wasted, they watered the ground for new growth. The pain you endured was not meaningless, it forged a heart that can love more deeply, forgive more freely, and shine more brightly. You may not have seen the angels standing guard around you, but we were there, shielding you, guiding you, whispering to your soul, hold on. You are not alone. Now, let me tell you what this means for you today. The battle is not over, for as long as you walk this earth, the darkness will try to dim your light. But you are not the same person you were before. You have seen heaven rise in your defense, and you know the power that lives within you. You are no longer just a spark, but a flame, a beacon that can light the way for others. God has placed His light inside you, not to be hidden, but to shine. And shine you will, in ways you cannot yet imagine. You will love those who hate you, forgive those who hurt you, and bring hope to those who have none. You will stand as a testament to God's faithfulness, a living proof that no darkness can overcome His light. The forces that once tried to destroy you are trembling now, for they see what you are becoming. They see a soul ablaze with heaven's fire, a heart that beats with the rhythm of God's love. They know their time is short, for the light within you is growing, spreading, touching lives in ways you may never fully understand. You are part of a greater story, a tapestry of grace that God is weaving through the ages. And every step you take, every act of courage, every moment of faith, adds a thread to that tapestry, making it more beautiful, more complete. Do not be afraid, dear one, for you are never alone. The heavens are still watching, still fighting, still rising in your defense. The angels are your companions, the Spirit is your guide, and God Himself is your strength. The light inside you cannot be extinguished, for it is His light, eternal and unyielding. Walk boldly, love fiercely, shine brightly. Let the world see what happens when heaven rises for one of God's own. Let the darkness tremble before the light God has placed inside you. And know this, you are loved, you are chosen, you are His. Forever. This message, child, is not just for you, but for all who feel the weight of the darkness pressing in. Share it with those who need to hear, for there are many whose lights are flickering, many who need to know that heaven is fighting for them too. Tell them of the God who sees, who loves, who rises. Tell them of the light that cannot be overcome. And as you do, your own light will grow, your own purpose will deepen, and the trembling of the darkness will become a song of victory, sung by the heavens and echoed in your heart. Go now, with courage and with joy. The world is waiting for your light. And we, the angels, will be with you, always. Dear child, as I draw this message to a close, let me linger with you a little longer, for the truth I've shared is not meant to fade like a whisper in the wind but to take root in your heart and grow into something unshakable. You've heard how heaven rose in your defense, how the light God placed within you has made the darkness tremble. Now, let's walk together through what this means for your future, for the days ahead when you'll carry this light into a world that so desperately needs it. This is a call to rise, to shine, to become the beacon of help and love you were always meant to be. And as you read these words, I invite you to share your heart or leave a comment. Let your voice join the chorus of those touched by this truth, and like this message to spread its hope further, for your response will ripple through the lives of others, just as your light does. The journey you've been on, with all its trials and triumphs, has not been random. Every moment, every struggle, every victory has been part of God's careful design to shape you into someone who reflects His glory. The darkness tried to destroy you, but it failed, not because of your strength alone, but because of the one who holds you in His hands. Now, as you stand on the other side of those battles, you are not just a survivor, you are a warrior, clothed in the armor of heaven's light. This light is your inheritance, your purpose, your power. It's what makes you different, what sets you apart in a world that often feels heavy with despair. And it's this light that I want you to carry forward, not hidden under fear or doubt, but held high for all to see. Imagine for a moment what your life could look like if you fully embraced this truth. Picture yourself walking through your days with the confidence that God is with you, that His angels surround you, that the light within you cannot be dimmed. You would speak with kindness, even to those who wound you, because you know their darkness cannot touch your soul. You would forgive, not out of weakness, but out of the strength that comes from a heart anchored in God's love. You would reach out to the broken, the lost, the hurting, because you've known pain and you've seen how God can turn it into something beautiful. This is the life you're called to, a life that shines, that heals, that changes everything it touches. And it starts with a single step, choosing to believe that the light inside you is enough. But let me be clearer, this won't always be easy. The darkness, though defeated, is stubborn. It will try to creep back in, whispering lies about your worth, your purpose, your ability to make a difference. It will point to your past mistakes, your current struggles, the fears that still linger in your heart. When those moments come, remember this: the light within you is not fragile. It doesn't flicker because of your flaws or fade because of your fears. It burns with the eternal fire of God's presence, and no lie, no doubt, no attack can extinguish it. You are not defined by what the darkness says about you, but by what God has declared over you. You are His, you are loved, you are enough. Hold fast to this truth, and let it be your shield against every arrow the enemy sends your way. As you move forward, I want you to think about the people around you, or your family, your friends, the strangers you pass each day. So many of them are carrying burdens they don't speak of, fighting battles they feel they're losing. They may not know it, but they need your light. A kind word from you could be the spark that rekindles their hope. A moment of compassion could remind them that they're not alone. Even a smile, given in the midst of your own struggles, could be the glimpse of heaven they've been longing for. You don't have to be perfect to make a difference, you just have to be willing. Willing to shine, willing to love, willing to point others to the God who fights for them just as fiercely as He fights for you. This is your mission, your calling, your reason for being here. And here's the beautiful thing: you're not alone in this. The heavens are still watching, still moving, still rising on your behalf. The angels who stood guard over you in your darkest moments are still by your side, ready to strengthen you, guide you, cheer you on. The Spirit of God is within you, whispering wisdom when you're unsure, courage when you're afraid, love when you feel empty. And God Himself, the Creator of all things, is your Father, your defender, your home. You are surrounded by a love so vast, so deep, so powerful that nothing in this world can separate you from it. Let this truth sink into your bones: you are never alone, never forsaken, never without hope. Now, let me speak to your heart about the days to come. The world is changing, and it needs people like you, people who carry heaven's light, who refuse to bow to fear or despair. There will be moments when you feel small, when the problems around you seem too big, too heavy. But remember this: the light inside you is not small. It is the same light that spoke the stars into being, that parted seas, that raised the dead. It is the light of a God who does impossible things, and He has chosen you to carry it. So don't shrink back. Don't hide. Step into the places where darkness reigns and let your light shine. Speak truth where lies have taken root. Show love where hatred has spread. Be the hands and feet of a God who is making all things new. As you do this, you'll find that your light doesn't just change the world around you, it changes you. The more you give of yourself, the more you'll discover the depth of God's love for you. The more you shine, the more you'll see His hand at work in your life. You'll begin to notice the small miracles of the way a prayer is answered, the way a burden lifts, the way a stranger's kindness feels like a hug from heaven. Your faith will grow, not because life becomes easier, but because you'll see more clearly that God is with you in every moment. This is the life of a light bearer, a life of purpose, of joy, of eternal impact. I want you to pause for a moment and think about someone in your life who needs to hear this message. Maybe it's a friend who's lost their way, a family member who's carrying a heavy load, or even someone you've never met but whose story has touched your heart. This message isn't just for you, it's for them too. Share it with them, not because you have all the answers, but because you know the one who does. Tell them about the God who rises in their defense, the light that cannot be overcome. And as you share, invite them to join you in this journey. Ask them to leave a comment below, to share their own story, their own hope, their own prayer. Let them know that their voice matters, that their light matters, that they are part of this beautiful tapestry God is weaving. And speaking of comments, I want to encourage you to take a moment right now to share your thoughts. What stirred in your heart as you read these words? What hope, what dream, what prayer is rising within you? Your words have power, and not just for you, but for everyone who will read them. When you leave a comment, you're adding your light to this message, creating a space where others can find encouragement, connection, and hope. And if this message has touched you, if it's reminded you of the light you carry, please hit that like button. It's a small act, but it sends this message further, reaching more hearts, shining into more dark places. Your like, your comment, your voice here, they are part of the ripple effect of heaven's love. Let me tell you why this matters. So yes, you. Don't look away. Don't shrink back. For this moment is not random. It has been orchestrated by heaven itself. I was sent here to remind you of what you carry, of what you were born to become. Because every time you speak, every time you whisper a word of truth, even when your voice trembles as something shifts in the unseen, the darkness pulls back. The enemy trembles. You may not always see it, but the spiritual world feels it. The ripple of your light, no matter how small, has power. The kind of power that demons fear. The kind of power that wounds in others begin to feel as warmth. The kind of power that revives what was thought to be dead. You must understand, beloved, you are not invisible. You are not irrelevant. Your light is not forgotten in the shadows. Every act of kindness, every post you make, every word of encouragement, every time you hold on to hope in the middle of your pain, you are declaring war on darkness. Do you realize how rare that is? In a world that often chooses silence, you speak. In a world that chooses numbness, you feel. In a world that chooses selfishness, you still give. And heaven sees it all. Oh, how proud the Father is of you. Do not underestimate what it means to keep showing up when the world tells you to stay silent. You are not just surviving, you are rising. And each time you do, your light grows bolder, brighter, more impossible to ignore. This is not just poetic language. This is truth. Literal, spiritual, eternal truth. For there is a war raging between light and darkness, between fear and faith, between despair and hope, and whether you realize it or not, you are in the middle of it. But you are not alone. You were never meant to fight this battle without heaven at your side. The very breath in your lungs is evidence that purpose still burns in your bones. The very fact that you are reading this now is proof that angels have been guiding your steps. That God Himself has been orchestrating divine appointments so that you would hear these words not by chance, but by divine design. Because every time you share a message like this, you don't just touch a screen, you touch a soul. A soul who might have been one breath away from giving up. A soul that felt unseen, forgotten, abandoned. but your light reached them. Your post became a lifeline. Your comment became a reminder, you're not alone. Your like became a whisper from heaven, saying, I still see you. You don't know the full story. You don't always see the impact. But heaven does. And we angels do. We watch as your courage sends shockwaves through realms you cannot see. We stand guard as your light grows, as your hope spreads, as your faith ignites fires in others who thought their flame had gone out. You see, this is how the world truly changes. Not through massive crowds or viral fame. Not through perfect speeches or flawless plans. The world changes because someone like you said yes to the light inside them. Someone like you refused to let heartbreak turn them bitter. Someone like you chose to love again after betrayal. Someone like you lifted your voice, even when no one seemed to listen. That's how change begins. That's how revival starts. That's how heaven touches earth through people like you. Through ordinary lives carrying extraordinary light. And make no mistake here, your light is extraordinary. It was handcrafted by God Himself. Formed before time. Hidden inside you like a secret weapon. Not just to bless you, but to bring healing to others. You are a carrier of glory. A vessel of mercy. A walking, breathing miracle. You don't need to pretend to be stronger. You don't need to have it all figured out. The light does not require perfection, no, it only requires your permission to shine. It only needs your willingness to keep going. And you have. Through heartbreak. Through silence. Through betrayals. Through delays. You've kept going. And we in heaven have been watching every step with holy reverence. So hear me now, the light that God placed inside you will never fail. It is not flickering. It is not fading. It is not fragile. It is enduring. Steady. Eternal. It will lead you through the darkest nights. It will comfort you when no one else understands your pain. It will guide your steps when you don't know which way to turn. And it will unlock doors that no man can shut. You were never meant to walk in circles. You were never meant to live in confusion. The light within you is a compass, pointing always toward purpose, toward promise, toward divine destiny. And even when you can't see clearly, trust these are your light is still working. I know you've been through battles that no one knows about. I know there were nights when tears soaked your pillow, when your heart begged for answers, when you wondered if your pain even mattered. But beloved, the angels stood by your bedside. Heaven recorded every tear. And now comes the rising. Now comes the shift. Because you are not just a spark. You are a flame. You are a beacon. You are the torch that others will follow. And where your footsteps, darkness will tremble. You carry the DNA of the Creator. You reflect the very image of God. There is nothing small about you. There is nothing forgotten. You are called, chosen, crowned. Heaven fights for you not just occasionally, but constantly. So rise, dear one. Rise in confidence. Rise in boldness. Rise knowing that you do not stand alone. For every word you speak in truth, 1,000 angels echo it across realms. For every prayer you whisper, heaven listens like a mother to her child's heartbeat. For every post you make in love, light travels across screens, homes, cities, and nations. The darkness cannot comprehend the fire you carry. But it knows enough to fear it. That's why the enemy tries to distract you. That's why the attacks came so hard. That's why your past has tried to haunt you. Because your future is dangerous to the darkness. Because your voice was destined to break chains. And now is not the time to dim your light. Now is not the time to shrink back. Now is the moment to shine brighter than ever. Let the world see what happens when heaven defends its own. Let them witness what it looks like when a wounded warrior becomes a blazing lighthouse. Let them see what unfolds when someone who's been through the fire refuses to stay silent. And yes, keep sharing. Keep posting. Keep commenting. Not for applause, not for recognition, but because this message needs to go forth. Because someone out there is waiting. And they will only find their hope when your light crosses their path. Shine on, child. Shine on. The darkness never stood a chance.